DallasCowboys.com/sports. Let me just start with this. We always tend to say that these coaches are go-for-it, gutty guys, and these guys are conservative. All football coaches are conservative. They are. They all vote, almost all of them vote conservative. They're conservative guys. The history of football, you think Bill Belichick's a big go-for-it guy? Yeah, when Tom Brady became great and he already had 2 Super Bowl trophies, Bill suddenly got much more courage because he had job security. Coaches are all conservative. When the 2-point conversion was offered several years ago, coaches didn't want it. Coaches didn't want the 2-point conversion, even though it was good for football. Why? Because it would put the onus on them. They would lose games going for it. Coaches are all conservative. Coaches don't want to go for it on 4th down. Now, situationally, if you have the great running back Todd Gurley, if you have the great offensive line Rams, and you're on the road and you've been playing 4 hours, but Jason Garrett's getting crushed because he didn't go for it. Now, I would have gone for it, but I understand what he's thinking. Our offensive line's not as good as they should be. Houston has got much better defensive personnel right now up front than we do. And, by the way, if I lose this thing on national TV, now I would have gone for it because I thought Dallas got outplayed. I thought the field position was a go-for-it field position. And I think when you're on the road for 4 hours, you're into overtime, you got to kind of create an identity. And the one knock I have on Dallas this year, they don't have any identity. And this was a chance to be, hey, this is our identity. We're going to be a go-for-it team offensively. We're not going to be the most clever or the most intuitive, but we're going to be a go-for-it team. But let me just tell you something. Everybody this morning saying, look at Sean McVay, look at Sean McVay. Okay, now think about this. Sean McVay has Todd Gurley, a great quarterback, a tremendous offensive line, the best offense in football, and he had to be talked into it. He sent his punter out initially. And Pete Carroll called a timeout, thought about it, and went, okay, an inch. I'll send my guys back in. So even clever, crazy, wild Sean McVay, boy genius Sean McVay. Initially, he was going to punt. They all want to punt. They didn't want the 2-point conversion. They don't like it. Sean McVay's he's the riverboat gambler. And he didn't want to go for it with Todd Gurley and Sean McVay and Jared Goff. And he didn't want to go for it. And then there's a timeout, and he can think about it, and he's like, yeah, let's just go for it. So we're going to crush Jason Garrett, and I would have gone for it too. You were outplayed. You were on the road. You're 4 hours in. I think you need to send a message. You don't have an identity. I would have gone for it if I'm Dallas. But this idea that Garrett's clueless and McVay's a gambler, it's not true. Bill Belichick, once he had a couple of trophies and he had job security, they don't fire left tackles. They don't fire centers. They don't fire running backs. They fire coaches. And coaches, if you look at the history of this league, they're all guys that would prefer to not go for it. Even the riverboat gamblers, even the crazy guys, they'd rather not go for it because that's how you get fired in this league. Going for it and failing is very simple for media and fans to point to and go, that's the reason. Because we don't look at game film. It's a very sophisticated sport. 99% of media could never even draw up one football play. But the easiest thing for a guy like me to go, right there, fire him, right there is situational, 4th down, you go for it, it's a dumb play. And, by the way, Doug Peterson got a book deal because of his crazy play on a 4th down and goal. It's one of those plays that's high or low, home run or strikeout, and most coaches don't want to ever go for it. So I'm not going to crush Jason Garrett, even though I would have, and I'm not going to elevate Sean McVay to the greatest coach of all time because he did, because he had to be talked into it. Here was Jerry Jones, Cowboys owner. He didn't like what Jason Garrett did.
We were being outplayed there, not out effort, but we just were being outplayed, and it's time for risk.
That I agree with. Jerry's belief is mine. When you're getting outplayed, you're on the road, you really should have lost this thing, and you have a chance to do it, you go for it. You know, it's just like anything else in life. If your vacation's been crap, it's rained the whole time, and you're like, oh, should we spend money on the helicopter tour? Well, the vacation's been crap anyway. Why don't you salvage the vacation and spend a little extra money and do something really fun for the kids? Like this game, Dallas got outplayed. They should have lost that game earlier. So, Dallas, if I'm the coach of the Cowboys, I'm like, you know what, man? 4 hours on the road. I got a bunch of alphas. I got to create some inertia and energy here. I'm going to go for it. But don't make Garrett into a bum and Sean McVay into a genius this morning. None of these guys really, really, deep down in their soul, are risk takers. They're really not. They're really not. Joy with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
Well, sticking